Welcome to the Dare to Grow Show. I'm Sarah Morgan, and my mission is to help you take daily action in your business, show up consistently and confidently for your audience, and earn more with digital products and programs. I know you have a rad vision for your life and business, but do you dare to grow? Let's jump into this episode and talk about how to make it happen. All right, welcome to episode 80. This past week, I went to a mastermind event at a coworking space in downtown San Diego. The first time hanging out with other business owners in person since 2019, I think. It's been so long I can't actually remember. But it was a pretty good excuse to put on real clothes, although I did pick pants that were as close to pajamas as possible, and spend the day with 7 other women who are also running businesses online. So I thought I'd share some of the big things I took away from the event, both to give you some things to think about, but also to encourage you, especially my introvert and anxious friends, to also get out and meet some business owners locally. So I'll give you some tips at the end if just the idea of going to a mastermind event is making you sweat. I got you. Sometimes going to an event with other business owners that you've never met before can bring up some assumptions based on what they do or how long they've been in business. Even how people dress and how they show up, their level of confidence can kind of start us assuming whether they have their shit together more than us or less than us. And that's not a bad thing. That's what our brains do to kind of figure things out and keep us safe. But what happens is that as the conversation flows, you will find that everyone has challenges they're working through or decisions they're stuck on or things they feel like they're not good at. That's why they showed up to the event as well. No one's coming in with all their shit together. So if you do go to a mastermind worrying that everyone else is ahead of you or doing more, remember that they showed up for help and feedback just like you. And everyone starts with different skills. There are obstacles at every level, so no one has it all together, no matter how it seems. Instagram does not help us with this, because it's hard to find the line between sharing open and honest stuff and also being professional and trustworthy. So if you do go to an event or a meetup, just know that they've also had moments of feeling clueless or overwhelmed or didn't like the way they looked on camera. And they're at the event because they are looking for feedback and help just like you. The other thing that came up often was talking about what gets you excited in business. What gets you excited about the people you work with, the things you create, how you're showing up? What gets you excited about your mission or what your business could grow into? It's a lot easier to grow your business and stick with it long term if you actually like what you're doing. Often we stick with things because they're working. The course or the clients or the coaching calls are bringing in money, so you keep selling that offer. Because that's the point of business, right? You offer the thing, and when people buy it, you're successful. But then you realize that you're also exhausted at the end of every day, or you're procrastinating for 3 hours every morning before you get started. Or this has happened to me a couple of times. The Sunday scaries that went away after you left your corporate job come back. That's always a sign that I need to realign or change what I'm doing. But also remember that the money isn't why we got into business. Yes, removing that income ceiling is part of it, but I know that you dreamed of working with people and on projects that lit you up, work that allowed you that flexibility and freedom, work that connected you with amazing clients and customers. So if something doesn't feel good, you are the boss and you can change it. That is something I've been focused on a lot this year, paying attention, not just in my business, but in my life in general, to what is not enjoyable and making changes big and small to move myself inch by inch toward joy in every part of my life. So whatever crazy dream you have for your business, it is possible, and you should start making changes to move yourself in that direction today. I hear so many women saying things like, I'm going to do this for now, but I really want to be doing that. You are in charge. If you want to do that, stop wasting time with this. Sit down today, make a list of everything that needs to happen to make that dream a reality, because most people don't do that step. Instead, they just dream about it, and that makes it feel too big to be possible. But once they put it down on paper, they see how possible it actually is. Y'all, Hazel just came into the podcast closet with me. I could hear her right outside the door, so I opened it and she came in. She's laying on a bed behind me, but we're in a closet. There's not a lot of space in here. Okay, so if you find yourself working on what you're offering today, but you keep thinking about the next level or a different business model, or it just doesn't feel right, move in the direction of something else, just a little. Write out your plans, stick it in the back of your brain, and see how you can start making it possible today. Little changes are gonna get you there. There was also a lot of discussion at this mastermind about discovering more about yourself and how you work and communicate by learning your Enneagram, human design, taking the StrengthsFinder test or the Myers-Briggs personality test. I have done them all. I love that stuff. And each gives you a slightly different insight. So human design is like reading a literal instruction manual on how to be your best self. The Enneagram felt like years of therapy packed into a couple of hours. It is really great for understanding other people as well. And StrengthsFinder can help you figure out the best type of work for yourself. I actually use this to kind of double check that I'm hiring people who are best suited for that position. And this is especially helpful if something in your business feels off. You might be out of alignment with what is going to work best for you and your nature as a human. I always hear people talking about their aligned business or taking aligned actions, and I never really got what that meant until I had something to align my actions and business to. Part of it is about values. If you value compassion, you do things in a certain way. If you value innovation, you do things in a certain way. But it's also important to align your business to how you work best as a human. My human design, which I will do a whole podcast episode about probably next month, says that the best environment for me, the environment where I thrive, is a cave, which I know for some of you sounds terrible, and I know for others sounds awesome. And when I learned this, I started laughing because it's very true. Being in a small, cozy, quiet space feels really good to me. And I do my best work at home in my quiet little apartment. I love days when I get to stay in, no meetings, not talking to anyone but the dog. But for other people, they need to be in a coffee shop or a coworking space because those little distractions and other people working around them helps to keep them focused. So if you haven't taken any of those assessments or looked up your human design, I will leave the links for you in the show notes. The other thing that we talked a lot about at this mastermind is raising your prices. I think everyone got this advice when it was their turn in the hot seat. Sometimes it just takes someone else to remind you of the transformation or the clarity that you can create and how much that is really worth to your audience. I got this advice, which I had already been considering, so I was really happy to have that confirmation. Someone else decided to double the cost of her course. Another person had us whipping out our calculators to see how many clients she would need to make $500K a year, when her initial goal was $250K, and that was still a little bit of like a dream goal. So definitely get you some friends who know your worth and abilities even better than you do. One of the things I tell my clients and Essentials members is to kind of like tuck that idea in the back of their brain and just see how it feels for a while. If you charge $200 an hour, what would it feel like to charge $500? If you charge $2,000, what would it feel like to charge $6,000? What would it feel like to take fewer clients or higher paying clients? Kind of try it on for size and see how it feels. Allow your brain to process that in the background and see what kind of stuff comes up. Or if you have access to a mastermind group or some business buddies, or you can hang out with us in the Essentials, share your pricing and see what kind of feedback you get, because I bet you will get a resounding yes, higher price, raise your price from anyone who knows you and knows how much growth is possible in an online business. The other thing I heard multiple times was, "I'm so glad you shared that." Showing up to an event like this isn't just about getting help on your stuff, but also learning from the other attendees. Sometimes we don't know a problem exists or how to make a decision until someone else brings up their experience and it clarifies a challenge or goal. There were lots of really open and vulnerable moments where people shared things that set off light bulbs in the whole group. I personally have been feeling a certain way that I couldn't quite put into words, and then someone shared their experience, and it solidified in 60 seconds what I've been trying to figure out for months. And this also happens anytime I'm writing about something that feels vulnerable or like out of the box. Sometimes I'm like cringing as I'm scheduling a post or an email, and then the next day I wake up to so many people saying how it was something they needed to hear. So if it feels uncomfortable to share, that's almost more reason to, because it's a signal that you're hitting on an experience that you are not alone in, and not a lot of people are already talking about it. Being vulnerable is uncomfortable, but there will always be someone who needs to hear what you have to share, or who's been feeling the same way, or who's been there before. So if you find yourself in a mastermind type group, don't be afraid to share the tough stuff, because from my experience in past groups and this most recent one, women are so ready to jump in and help each other. And sometimes all you have to do is speak up. So I really want to encourage you to get out of your bubble. Being a solo business owner can be really difficult, even if you have some contractors that you're working with. It's not always difficult, but it's enough that you shouldn't go it alone. And luckily, when you are an online business owner, you get to pick your coworkers from literally anyone in the entire world, which is crazy and awesome. Listening to others, bouncing ideas around, helps open your eyes to new possibilities. Most of the women at the event had never heard of me or my business, and I had never heard of them until a couple of days before we met, which meant that we were more expansive with our ideas and suggestions because we were not constrained to what was on a sales page. When one person was looking for ideas on how to adjust her offer and scale, what she got back was an entirely new business model, new audience, new offer, and she looked lit up by it. We were actually talking about how her body language changed in response to that possibility. And when it was my turn, I got such a helpful response because those entrepreneurs were exactly like my cold audience. So I got to hear new perspectives on my membership, on growing the membership, and on running ads. Often we look to our family and friends for feedback, or people who are not in online business, and it is a very different animal from owning a local shop or selling physical products. There's really a lack of rules when it comes to online business because the industry is so new. If you open a restaurant, there are certain ways of doing things, but if you're creating digital products or coaching programs or selling anything that is not a physical product, there is a lot less risk. So you can really make things up as you go and experiment more easily. This means it's extra helpful to sit down with other people also doing business online, because their perspective of what a business is and what a business can do or grow to is much more expansive. Like, do you think any of your friends or family would try and convince you that your business could earn $500,000 a year? None of mine would. They would think it's awesome, but also crazy. So masterminding with people also doing business online is extremely helpful. So if you have not been to a mastermind before, I highly recommend it. And all my introvert friends, you know I'm an introvert too. Like, I kind of enjoyed the pandemic lockdown and not needing a reason to stay home all the time. And I definitely wouldn't tell you something I am not willing to do. So I just made sure that I was able to take the next day off to recharge. I literally slept until 3 p.m. the next day. And now I'm ready to get back in the game. And I have so many ideas and possibilities and changes that I'm going to make that I'm really excited about. And to all of my anxious friends, I see you. Here is what I do so I don't avoid opportunities like this or panic and skip the event at the last minute. I've totally done that. You know, the event feels exciting and worthwhile a month before, but then the day of finally arrives and I start to panic. So first, pick something that you have to pay for. This event was $100 to attend, and I am not really about throwing $100 away because I'm nervous. So that can be a way to keep yourself accountable to showing up. Number 2, use a rideshare service. One of the things that sets off my anxiety is like logistics and parking and getting places on time. So instead of figuring all of that out, I just took a Lyft, which is a tax write-off, and made that part easy. And then number 3, DM with one of the hosts or the attendees before the event so you have a familiar face to connect with. For this event, there were 8 people and they sent everyone's Instagram info ahead of time so we could do like a little pre-event stalking. And also, I don't really get anxious for events like this anymore because I have gone to enough of them that I know everyone else is a little nervous. Everyone else doesn't know anyone. And if I just show up and go with the flow, it always turns out great. So if you force yourself to go to a few events, it will get easier and easier. Now, Zoom calls like the ones that we host in the Essentials are a great option if you're just like dipping your toe into this stuff, but meeting local entrepreneurs is absolutely worth it. And you don't need like a certain number of people to do a mastermind event like this. You can meet with 1 or 2 other people and still get great feedback and ideas. So I hope this was helpful and you're feeling excited and motivated. If you are not finding events in your area, you can absolutely host a mastermind or a meetup yourself. All you need to do is pick a spot to meet and invite some people. And I would love to hear from you. So find me on Instagram at @XOSarahMorgan and let's discuss. Have you been to an event like this before? Do you host masterminds? Are you into going to masterminds? So look for the episode 80 post and let's talk about this. And as always, thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I hope this was helpful and I will talk to you again soon. Oh, and one more thing before I go. If you have more questions on what we talked about today, you want templates, trainings, or some accountability to make that shit happen, head over to xosarah.com/essentials and become a member of The Essentials. You will get instant access to the courses, coaching calls, and community. And this way I can help you simplify your marketing, show up with confidence, and dare to grow every single day.